All right.
Are you ready?
Yep. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Epic Sports Radio. We are here at Bunz Sports Pub and Grub at 311 Judas Street in Roseville, California. Again, I want to give a shout out to all the people in Texas. Casey listening in Round Rock. We've got a lot of people in Austin, Texas listen to us. And you know, this next segment, I want to give another shout out to Vlad. Vlad, again, with Capital City Tax, he'll give you 50% off of whatever you paid last year. It needs to be done by April 5th. Whatever tax preparation that you need, give Vlad a call at 916-778-0212. And if you have any questions or, again, missed anything, give me a call, 916-633-4851. Again, I'd like to thank Max Muscle in Fair Oaks. Talk to Brandon. Any supplements that you need from him, give him a call. And one more, I'm going to do a commercial on him a little bit later, but I just want to say hello to Lynn Habosh in the house. I want to, give a shout out to Julie Travis Wright with Plexus. We are starting a new segment with Giovanni, the gentleman to my right, my partner. He's also the cinematographer. He also has a few irons in the fire. I mean, this guy's passion is making motion pictures. He's got Blue Pulse Cinema, Red Carpet Moments. This guy's got a ton of stuff. Hugely talented guy, and I'm proud to have him as a partner.
Thank you.
And Ether Marsh. I always get the last part.
Ether Martian Broadcast Network.
Why do I always want to say Martin? Martian. It's Martin. But you know what? We're starting a new segment. Right now, we're going to be talking about hunting and fishing. Peace in the wild. And we talk to a lot of athletes, and we ask them, what do they do to decompress
when they're not fighting?
When they're not fighting. And I know that you've been involved in and I've been hunting since I was, a kid with my dad. And I'll go into that a little bit later. But give us a little bit of your background involved with, hunting and fishing.
Well, it really began when I moved to Tracy, California. So you have the San Joaquin River there, you've got the Grant Line Canal, and you've got Old River that runs right through Tracy.
Yeah.
And so, like with anything, I take a passion to something and I master it. So I was determined to learn how to fish and to learn how to tie knots other than just a knot,
Right.
And so the first knot I learned was a Palomar knot. And I learned that from a friend of mine. But there were knots that you can learn how to tie on the packaging of fishing hooks and whatever. And so I began to go with him fishing on the Delta. And I'd sit back and I'd watch this guy who was a master catch striped bass, catfish. It didn't matter what he was, whatever, he caught anything and everything. And I was just like amazed. And I wanted to be like that. I wanted to catch fish. I didn't want to just always go out there and waste a tub of chicken liver, or a frozen bag of shad and then return with nothing. He always caught something. The guy was amazing. And, so in spending about a decade fishing with him, I ended up becoming a master at tying knots, fishing, looking at the water, judging, what the tide is, whether it's coming in or out,
Right.
And that's pretty much my background, as far as fishing goes. And then I've, branched out from there to fly fishing, fishing with downriggers, out of Donner Lake and Lake Tahoe.
All right. I want to give one story. I've been hunting with my dad since I can remember. My daughter, again, is sitting over here. She's 14 years old, and and I was probably 9 or 10 when I went hunting with him, and growing up, my dad, his house looked like a safari. I mean, he had heads hanging everywhere. I mean, elk, deer, boar, antelope, whatever. I have one of the deer that we shot together hanging on the... Call him Steve. But he's, it's a 5-point buck. And we would go hunting. I mean, Alturas up here in California, Oregon. My aunt and uncle had a ranch in Long Creek, Oregon. And it was... we would hunt with a bunch of friends, but as a kid, I remember, he would, sometimes I'd go out with him, sometimes they'd leave me in the camp, and I would just do whatever kids did at the time. But it is something that I will never forget, growing up, kind of bonding with my dad. And a lot of people don't like hunting. They think it's cruel. They think it's and these are people that are eating a hamburger when they're telling me this, and I'm like, well, how do you think they put this cow down? Because I'm Native American, so part of my culture, especially as a kid growing up, our rite of passage was to go hunting.
Exactly.
We would hunt for the food. We would kill. We would eat it. And I know there's a difference between hunting and a difference between poaching. There's a difference between hunting and what people do in Africa, where they go and kill a rhino for the horn, or the elephant for the ivory. And there's a lot of... I have a lot of scrimshaw art, meaning it's on ivory, and it's a really intricate art that they do, and it's something that all right, I got some wings here. It is Wing Wednesday after all at Bunz Sports Pub and Grub, so I'm getting me. I'm not having them hot like Rick Rieger over here. I'm a little more mild. I'm Parmesan and garlic. But anyway, Giovanni, what do you think? In your mind, what's your thoughts on the difference? When people say, "Oh, I can't believe you go hunting, you're killing Bambi," they always say Bambi. What the crap is it with killing Bambi? My culture kills to eat, and again, but they'll go and eat hamburgers all day long. What are your thoughts on that?
My feeling, I have some strong feelings regarding those that represent the anti-hunting lobby, if you will. And those feelings are that, what do you think, for example, I like to use this example, what do you think we fed our cats and our dogs before Purina Cat Chow Company came around in the 1800s? Well, just like you used to watch cartoons when you were younger, the cat would be chased by the dog. And
right.
If the dog got the cat, the dog would eat the cat.
Right.
And when the cat wasn't being chased by the dog, the cat was chasing the mouse.
Yep.
And if the mouse wasn't quick enough, the mouse got eaten. And that was what fed those animals. There is a food chain.
Right.
So when we began to create companies like Purina Dog Chow or Kettle or Pedigree or whatever, we started supplanting their diet with something that they're not really supposed to eat.
Right.
They're supposed to eat flesh. They're carnivorous. So
right.
I think that society has been conditioned to believe that hunting is
evil.
Is an evil, especially if you're from California. If you're from the Midwest or the South or whatever, you hunt. And there's even a lot of hunting going on in California. But my feelings are that if you take your children out, especially if you have children,
right.
and you teach them something like that, like hunting or fishing, you're going to save that child from a life of drugs or something other than drugs that's even more horrible. And so, and that's not a guarantee, and you've got to devote time and energy to your children, but what better sport would there be to teach your children than to hunt and fish? Because when you're out there and, bonding with the outdoors, if you will, you're bonding with God and what God's created. So, my feelings are strong in that regard, and if you allow the liberal media or the leftist liberal agenda to take over, then you're going to become a vegan before you know it, and to be quite honest with you, if you don't take in some kind of protein, your hair's going to fall out.
Hey, you know what? Speaking of vegan, I'm actually eating a vegetarian chicken. Because chickens, they eat like corn and stuff, so
Right.
I'm kind of vegetarian a little bit, right?
A free-range chicken.
Yeah, I you know what? Honestly, I tried being a vegetarian. I think I lasted 2 months, and it just wasn't for me, man. It really wasn't. I mean, I like going out, and again, the hunting it's a lot more than just going out and shooting something. It's camaraderie with the people that you're with. It's kind of you're going and it's not like it is a sport. A lot of people don't think it's sports, and I've had a lot of people ask me, why you guys want to talk about hunting? It's not. It is a sport, and we were talking, and we're talking about getting Ted Nugent to come on the show and talk to us. I mean, he's more into bow hunting and whatnot, but
not to interrupt you, but I had the luxury, if you will, of I answered an ad at Craigslist because I produce motion picture and music videos, and I was successful in casting my girlfriend in a rock video for the rock band Max 12, who are out of San Jose, and the founder of the band owns a hunting preserve up at King City, way up there past near Salinas, right on the coast, and it's called Native Hunt. And it's the only preserve that I'm aware of in California that has bison for hunt, buffalo for hunt, Jacob's Ranch, and boar, wild boar, not Eurasian boar, but wild boar, the true boar with the tusks. Right. And I was able to go over there and shoot some video, and I walked away, and he's native as well, from Florida, originally from Florida. And the guy is very passionate about, our rights when it comes to gun rights and fishing rights and hunting rights and your weapons and what have you. And, and I'm very encouraged when I find people like that, because they're not going to give up their guns that easy. And they believe in, the way it was, and what do we have now? People get caught up in other trifling pursuits that end up bringing harm to themselves, and but when you have the leftist media trying to attack us for hunting and fishing, and saying that you killed that animal or you killed that fish and you didn't need to, I find that offensive. I'm offended because, like I said, what do you think we were doing before you got the bright idea to demonize hunting and fishing?
Right.
That's what we did. What do you think the trappers did? Lewis and Clark. They were taking skins from, the beavers, and they were being sold. This is how this nation was founded.
Right.
And if you're a proud American, you're going to be proud of those facts in our history. You can't run from our history. You have to embrace it. Now, if you want to run from it and you choose not to embrace it, you're literally going to be alienated, especially now with the Trump revolution. But I don't want to get all political tonight.
Yeah. We'll save that,
But let's make America great again. One way or the other, let's do that, And if we have to preserve our heritage, preserve hunting and fishing, and that's what this segment's all about. It's we're going to develop this segment it's a sport, like you said.
Right.
And I think that there's a great potential, great amount of energy that can be devoted to fishing and hunting. So we're going to be receiving calls from professional bass fishermen that are going to give us their tips on what lures they're using. We're going to be getting updates from...
Now, we talked about something earlier today. Do you want to talk about that on air, or you want to save that for later?
No, I think that it's a great opportunity because we want to create an excitement for this segment.
Okay.
Today I got off the phone with with Andy, who owns Andy's Bass Lures.
Okay.
If you don't know, his lures were used by Edwin Evers, who won the Bass Masters Classic.
Yeah.
And so we're actively in discussion, actively pursuing a discussion for premier sponsorship of this segment with Andy, and where he'll provide us with lures, and he'll actually call in and give our listener base tips on how to best use those lures, because they're proven now that Edwin won the Bass Masters Classic using those lures. So, and that's just the beginning, really, because we're going to focus mainly on California. I like to devote a lot of energy to the Delta.
Yep.
That's Tracy, Stockton, Modesto, Manteca, maybe even Sacramento. It includes Sacramento as well.
Oh yeah, there was a big bass fishing last year that we covered, and I'd like to give a shout out. I don't think he's watching right now, but Ron Owen, a friend of mine, he's a huge into bass fishing. He was on the circuit for a while. But we got about another minute to wrap this up. I do want to say a shout out to the Sacramento Safari Club. Actually, Giovanni and I are going to be covering an event there. And I want to talk about the Wounded Warrior. They have a project to where a gentleman here in town, he raises money for the Wounded Warriors, and he takes them on a hunting trip or fishing, and he pays for everything, the airfare, lodging, food. And he shot it with his mouth, a straw.
Wow.
And it's really cool. The video out next week. Are there any have on the segment? And again, this is a brand new segment that we're starting this week. We feel again we cover everything sports. It's just not NFL, ML is a sport. I was talking earlier today, and he's like, "Well, I really don't watch sports. I'm into motocross." I'm like, well, that's a sport.
Exactly.
So we like to cover what other mainstream people like to call obscure. So again, Glenn at epicnewsports.com. If there's a question, a subject matter, anything that you guys want to talk about, give me an email, and we will bring it up next week on the show. So last words, Giovanni. What do you got?
Well, I'm just really looking forward to developing this segment because I believe that we're going to do it right. And I don't believe there's anything, in the Sacramento region, for that matter, the San Francisco Bay Area, that's devoted to hunting and fishing. So all I can do is encourage the listener base to tune in for that. If you fish, if you hunt, you're going to learn something new with this segment. And if anything, if you've already believed you know it all, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Right.
Because I thought I've known it all. And but other than that, though, if you're planning on going out to Lake Tahoe, you're going to want to get our updates from Mountain Valley Hardware out of Truckee, because they've been kind enough to provide us with updates regarding the bite and what to use and what not to use, and also to be on the watch for invasive species. If you catch something and you don't recognize it as a bass or as a trout, don't throw it back in the lake. Keep it and turn it over to the Department of Fish and Game, because we've got an invasive species that has invaded Donner Lake and Tahoe. So we want to keep Tahoe blue, but we also want to keep it native only to the native fishing species. That's pretty much it.
All right. And again, thanks to my partner Giovanni Sovereign, and we'll get you all of his information. Hey, well, you know what? You're sitting right here. Tell them how they can follow you on your social media and Twitter, Facebook, all that.
You can find me at Twitter at Red Carpet Ether, and that is our broadcast network, the Ether Martian Broadcast Network. And you can also find me at Facebook under Ether Martian. Ether is AETHER Martian.
All right, thanks a lot, brother.
You're welcome.
Hey, until next week, this is my partner Giovanni Sovereign, and again, if you have questions for us, just go ahead and email me.
Thanks a lot.
All right, so we're going to move on now. Marcus is going to get back on the panel here, and I'm going to give another shout out. Plexus, Julie Travis Wright. There was a drink when she first introduced me to it. It's called Plexus Pink, and she was talking about appetite suppressant, this and that, and all these things that the pink does. I will tell you what, when it comes to supplements, it does not work the same for everybody. I don't care what they say. It did not give me an appetite suppressant. I tell you what, man, because I eat, but maybe it's because of what I do. I'm a bodybuilder, and that's what I do. But for some freak reason, Marcus, I don't know, it got me stronger. And I even posted videos up on Facebook, and they got other stuff in the drink. They got other supplements and whatnot, but they have this a bio cleanse. It's oxygenate and energize your body. It helps oxygenate the body. It helps cleanse the gastrointestinal tract, which is good for everybody. Helps energize the body. supports collagen production, and relieves occasional constipation. And again, Julie Travis Wright, you could actually follow her on Facebook and ask her all the questions that you want to ask her. And again, if you miss anything, give me a call. And Marvin, he has a company, Pain Relief Now. And if you're suffering from chronic pain, there's over 100 million people in America suffering from chronic pain. He's got a drug-free program. It's guaranteed, he says, and it's underlined right here, guaranteed way to reduce your pain. Now, I personally know two people that they wouldn't lie to me. They would. I didn't even know that they went to this guy. Kit Gamble, he went for his back, and Marvin did some work on him. It's with a laser. There's no side effects, and it reduced his back pain. And he said, "Hey, man, I'm pain free for 2 weeks." David Mitchell, he's gone there. So give Marvin a call, 855-45-RELIEF, or it's 855-457-3543. So let's jump right in.
Supplementation has come a long way, I've been personal training for over 20 years, and just watched the progression of supplementation, and really, like you were saying, with your bodybuilding and you feeling stronger. A lot of people think that the breakdown and the actual effects are taking place during the workout. It's the recovery.
Yeah.
And the faster and the better that you can recover and bring that muscle back, with the proper nutrition, of course. And I think that's the thing that has to be emphasized, is that these are supplements that are supposed to supplement on top of the proper nutrition.
Yeah.
And if you're giving your body that additional work, additional breakdown, you're pushing to that pain threshold, and you're pushing into above 80% of your max, and really asking your body to develop. And I think that's when the reality of performance enhancement drugs come in, because how much a body can truly grow, how much a muscle can truly develop with the proper training. And when you see a guy that goes up 40 pounds or so
in like 2 months,
like 2 months, and he's bloated and his muscles are water retentive and he's doing all, that's not a natural progression for a muscle. A muscle just doesn't develop that way. So the supplements have come a long way, but I think that people tend to simplify the process and everything that's involved with hormones, nutrition, the right type of training. Hydration is a big factor, So all of these things are going to work, but it does not work in lieu of all of the other things that have to be done responsibly. And I think that's what it's about, is taking supplementation responsibly, adding it in with the proper nutrition, and then being able to gauge your workout. And we kind of touched on two different things. We're talking about pain management, and we're talking about supplementation. And most of the symptoms that we're talking about here are inflammation, the arthritis, the joint and muscle and pain within the joints and muscles and back, and those things. I can see how a laser may be able to target some of those pressure points, target some of those nerves that are, and stop that flow of the pain, that's coming. And it seems like they've done a very good pool of people to test these things out on. No side effects is the main thing that I pulled out.
That's a good thing. I mean, that's one thing about Marvin's gig. It's none of these pills that you have the side effects, but I will end the supplementation thing with this. It is very important to, I think, in my lifestyle, to take supplements, because one of the most important things you could take after working out, I mean, you got to get that protein back in. So I do a protein shake, and then I get branched chain amino acids liquid. Because liquid, it absorbs in your body a lot quicker, especially sublingually. And pills, it takes a while. And again, Brandon at Max Muscle in Fair Oaks, on the corner of Madison and Fair Oaks, you go talk to him, and he will walk you through everything that you need. But you know what? Let's talk a little tiny bit. I know NFL is over, but let's talk a little tiny bit we've got Seahawks linebacker and planning to sign in our own backyard with the Oakland Raiders.
Right.
And Irvin, he's got a Super Bowl. He's been in 2 Super Bowls. He's got a Super Bowl ring. Irvin does, and he brings speed, I think, to the Raiders.
Important.
Yeah, last year he had 5.5 sacks. He's got size, and I think when it comes to the Raiders, for the past, I don't know, 5 years at least.
Sure.
I mean, they've been. They can't really get above 500, and I know Carr is just kind of warming up and getting his feet wet, but I think the Raiders need a couple more key elements, especially on defense.
Well, the defense is where things are going to start. I mean, being able to score is nice, but we've all seen the end of the games when you just absolutely can't stop a team from marching down the field. You can't stop the big play. And most of all, you got to be able to put pressure on that quarterback. The 5.5 sacks is the number that really stands out. I think the Raiders' defense has been coming along, and they made some good additions when they got Mack out of the draft, and they did some things, and they were able to start actually getting out of there on third down.
That's the thing.
Yeah. So adding linebacker, which to me is the most important position on the defense. It's responsible for the run, and it's going to affect the pass. It's really covering all facets of that, and it's really up to them to make that play on those third down plays where the quarterback has the option.
Because one thing that I hate to see is when you have 3rd and long. We'll just say 3rd and 7, and the team gets the first down.
Right.
I mean, I'm thinking you stopped them the first 2 downs, and you let them get a long 3rd down.
Let them off the hook.
And then I just don't. And again, I don't understand that. But they had good defense. Like the Super Bowl, they had good defense. I mean, the Broncos couldn't hardly get a first down to save their life, and it's the Super Bowl, man.
Well, like you said, like I was saying before, that linebacker position is the one that's going to have to do both. They're going to have to be responsible for that run. They've got to be responsible for the draw. And there's so much deception that's going on. I mean, there's play action, there's the draws, there's the screens, and the linebackers are really the first ones that are going to key on that. So to add a good, experienced linebacker that has speed, that can get after the quarterback, is probably a good move. I mean, that's never a bad move. I mean, you saw the difference in the Niners when their linebacker core was able to be a real force. When Patrick Willis was in there and Bowman and all those things were happening and they were clicking, it made everything happen. Your linemen work harder. Your defensive backs have more. Your defensive backs have a little bit more pass coverage through that mid-range zone, so they can really shore up the outsides and use the sideline to their advantage because the middle of the field is the middle of the field is covered, and the movement in there, stopping the tight ends from just releasing down the field. Tight ends have become a lot more used weapons within the NFL, because for a while the tight ends were really, there was Gonzalez and a few other tight ends, but the tight ends are really a weapon now that the linebackers have to come up and cover, because once they take your safety away, the middle of the field is wide open.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about DeMarco Murray. I mean, DeMarco Murray, fellow Boomer Sooner. He went to the Cowboys. I think Jerry Jones just kind of used him up, and
we kind of predicted that.
And then he went to Philly, and the rivals, and Sean. You can hear that? Can you hear that? All right, just want to make sure. Thank you. All right, so now he's going to the Titans. He's signed to 20. Okay. Here's what I don't like in the NFL. You get $25.5 million contract.
Wow.
That's nothing to me. Sure. Why? Because in baseball, when you sign a big contract like that, you're getting that money.
Guaranteed.
Football, you can sign 25.5, but look,
you might not see it.
Half of it, 12.5 is guaranteed. And I'm sure there's stuff.
The other half is taxed.
Well, that and then incentives, or you get so much. Hey, Sean, we got down again. So the other half is incentive based. You get so many yards, you get this, you get that. But why do you think? Do you think DeMarco Murray chased the money, or?
We never really see the ins and outs of the agent and their dealings, because that's a whole nother aspect in another world that comes into play, and what the possibilities were. But running backs have a short shelf life.
They do, unfortunately,
So if he didn't chase the money, that wouldn't be wise. You kind of have to. There's no real loyalty that they had back like they used to have. He's got to go after the money. He was fortunate in Dallas to have such a powerful young offensive line that was going to be able to highlight and showcase his skills to that point. And Dallas really needed him there. With all of the inconsistency with Romo and what's going on with them. But you wish him well. You hope things work out. Tennessee's been one of those teams. Tennessee's been one of those teams that just that hasn't been able to get over the hump. You have to have a strong running game. I mean, you see the Niners when they got away from Frank Gore, who was really that first and second down, like you were talking about third down. I don't see how you can afford to pass that often and have success, especially when you got a guy in the backfield who's going to guarantee you those 3 or 4 yards. Second and short is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Second and short is something that. That puts your quarterback and your offensive coordinator in such a better position than having to shrink the playbook down. So, I think if people really respect those first 2 downs more and use that running back in there, instead of going to them in the third and 8 and expecting them to bring you a miracle. They're getting beat up and still not getting the first downs in those situations. And, like you said, the speed of the linebacker. So, if he can go in and be somebody that can get them into third and short, second, get good field position for them and keep the drives alive. 12.5 is what he deserves at this point.
So there need to be what other, and this is the last thing we're going to talk about the NFL. What other teams need to make some moves in this offseason?
At this point in the game, it seems like most teams are adjusting so frequently and so often that you almost have to keep up with the times. And it always depends on what's available to you. Because you hate for a rival or someone a competitor that you're close with in the playoff to get someone that you had the opportunity to get. You got to jump on things and make that deal. You got to be opportunistic when it comes to that, for sure.
All right, so let's move on to the NHL. We're going to touch a little bit NHL stuff. Last week, it was ironic. Last week we talked about Jaromir Jagr, Florida, and we talked about Gordie Howe and how how Jagr's getting a little older. He's in his 40s now, and Howe came back in his 60s and played a good games plural. Well, Jagr, he moved into third place in his NHL points, not goals scored, but points. In hockey, and I know we already know this, but for all our listeners, some people may not. You get points with an assist, and you get points when you score a goal. And he's got, he's third place, 1,851, and he's got 743 goals. Now, the person, the great one, Wayne Gretzky, he's got over 1,000 more points than Jagr.
Isn't that incredible?
It is. Gretzky's got 2,857 career points. Jagr's a little over 1,000 behind him. He's not going to catch up to Wayne.
No.
Not even close. No. But Mark Messier, which used to play for Wayne, with Wayne Gretzky, he's got, 1,887, and Jagr, I think, is going to pass him this year. Whether Jagr plays next year or not, he'll move to the to the second place all-time in career points on that. And I think it's a great thing.
Well, I think that his role is going to change a little bit. I think it's, and obviously we're seeing that. He's gone from getting most of his numbers off of points to a little bit more balanced with assists. And I think that what they would utilize that veteran for is to build and develop the rest of the team, and to really utilize his veteran tempo to be able to make the rest of the team better.
And again, like I said about hockey last week, you have lines. You got 3 lines in hockey. So you go out, you play your 2 minutes, come back. So he's got that luxury. It's not like, basketball we're watching here. He doesn't have that luxury. I mean, these guys, they play the whole game. Right. A lot of them do. But in hockey, you can make a line change like that. Right. Any other sport, you got to call a timeout. You got to wait for the play to stop. All that.
They can protect him. They can keep him healthy. They can keep him fresh, and they can get the rest of the team on that pace and that level of thinking assist first, of thinking a team play, and work into their depth a little bit more as developing those guys. Because we were talking about the playoffs, whether it be basketball or hockey. That depth is what gets you through the playoffs.
All right. Speaking of playoffs, LeBron James made a comment last night. Now they lost to the Memphis Grizzlies, 103-106. Now he says they're not playoff ready, and when you're coming this close to the playoffs, now whether they are or not, they were riding a 3-game win streak going into that, but. The Cavs, they're sitting in first place. They're a couple games, over Toronto. But if Irving and Love stay healthy, I think that the Cavs would do pretty decent in the playoffs. What do you think at this juncture right now?
I think we'll call him Coach LeBron at that point with that statement. I think he was really talking to his team. I think that he was being humble, of course, but letting him know that. He needs all of those components. He needs Irving to be Irving. He needs that other offensive threat. He needs Love to be able to come in healthy and be clutch from the 3-pointer.
All right. Speaking of 3, we got 3 minutes.
Sure.
So I think the couple sleeper teams are you've got Toronto that can come in. They're sleepers. You got Detroit, possible. One last thing I will say, I'd like to, Sacramento, they're having struggles. Actually, Cousins doing better in points and rebounds than he did last year, but with the attitude and everything like that, and going into the new stadium, the Kings, I say this every week almost, the Kings need to do something drastic in the offseason. I think they need to get rid of him. They need to get rid of Rondo, keep Gay, and build the team around Gay.
The last time we had a situation like Cousins was, I believe, when we had Rasheed Wallace in Portland. Before, and that's something that, actually, I can actually say this now. He's from Birmingham, and I'm from Birmingham, and my mother was his counselor in high school, and helped him get through some of those things. So I'm a little bit aware of some of the things that, like the situation with the T-shirts and things that. You got to remember where, as another viewpoint, you got to remember where he's from. Right. You got to remember that he's from people that fought through the whole civil rights movement. And coming to a town like Sacramento, he's going to have a totally different viewpoint on things that's not going to totally measure. So you saying that he maybe needs to go somewhere else, that maybe work out something a little bit better for him, because he's not going to be received that well in this town for the viewpoint that he may have coming from the Deep South. You know? So I think that may be something that he may be more coachable from somebody that he relates to a little bit better. Right. But the man's talent is second to none.
He's got talent. I'm not taking away his talent, but he's got to get rid of that attitude and help his team win. Yeah. And so I think that we're going to see again the Warriors going in to the playoffs. Sure. But again, I want to tell everybody, thanks for tuning in. You can follow us on any social media, Epic News Sports, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, anything like that. Give us a shout out, and we will catch you next week. Actually, we're going to be Friday. We are going to be at Tailgaters in Brentwood. David Mitchell is going to be our guest in our inaugural show there. So tell Gators in Brentwood, give them a call, tell them that you're going to come out and see us. We will catch you next week. Thanks for tuning in to Epic Sports Radio.
Another one wrapped up. Good job. Thank you.